Hey there, my friends. It's Dr. Anthony Balduzzi, and I want to welcome you back to another episode here on the Fit Mother Project podcast. Today, we're joined by guest expert Jessica Frandson, who is the founder of CAMPO Beauty, a wonderful company that creates, honestly, some of the most beautifully designed, packaged, and high-quality essential oils that I have ever experienced. And I wanted to bring Jessica on because we're going to talk about what essential oils are and how they can benefit you on your health and fitness journey. And I think it's like essential oils, in my opinion and experience, being a naturopathic physician and having some training in this, are like a very misunderstood, yet can be a very powerful type of medicine, and just like mood setter in a room that can help us transition our states to feel a certain way, energized, relaxed. And so we have Jessica here who has a long history of these, and it's really fun in getting to know Jess and her bio. She says that she was the daughter of former hippies in Laguna Beach. So you got an immersive early education in essential oils, but then you took that skill set and you learned with a top perfume maker, like how to really blend scents to make them amazing with different kinds of notes as well as medicinal properties. So Jess, welcome today to this conversation on the Fit Mother Project podcast. So glad you were here.
Thank you so much, Doctor, for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you.
And I forgot to mention in your bio, you're a serial entrepreneur. So you've had several different businesses, right? And you had Twist Band, which was doing stuff with hair ties. And I got to ask you, why start this new business on essential oils? Like, why do you care this much about essential oils and that people get exposed to this? Why are they important?
Well, it really so all of my entrepreneurial experiences, and it even dates back, my dad was an entrepreneur. And his was really like a problem solution, like how can you help people? Something really that was missing in the marketplace. And his was a cleaning product. Then he wanted to create something that was non-toxic. And he started a company called Simple Green. So I was really immersed also from that kind of perspective. And I was so privileged to be in that conversation as a young, lady, just always hearing like how you can see things differently. So it wasn't about creating something that hadn't been done before, but it was like really revisiting something and how can you make something easier and actually just bring more joy to people's lives. So whenever I've started a project, that's really kind of the essence of what they are. It's like there's something missing either in the community. I started a stationery store and that really brought a lot of joy to the community so people could shop locally and experience like incredible papers from all around the world from, artisans. And then Twist Band was another one. I was pregnant and I needed to create a solution for my hair. I had really long hair at the time. And, moving forward into CAMPO, it literally came out of a need in my life. I went back to visit my best friend from childhood, and she moved from Southern California. We're both California natives. And she moved to Houston for love. And so I was getting settled in her home, and I had my mini apothecary that I always travel with. And then I had my favorite perfume. And I've always had a really strong sense of smell. That's been a gift that I've had my whole life, for good and bad. So I can smell beautiful things, I think, at a heightened awareness, as well as things that aren't so pleasant. And so when I was getting settled in, my friend came in and checked on me, and she's like, oh my gosh, I had the same perfume. And then she opens up this cabinet. It was like floor to ceiling of essential oils. So that night, catching up and, talking about our lives, being busy working mothers, and oh my gosh, I'm tired. I need more energy. Just some of the things that we really needed. Yeah. We started to reimagine what essential oils could be. We both had this big love and fondness of it, kind of going back to college, we would play around with them. And so we thought, what if Tom Ford and Apple had an essential oil baby? What would that look like? It would be clean, modern, intuitive, have knockout healing powers, smell intoxicating, be jet set ready, meaning you could go to and from, whether it's around your home, your office, traveling in the air. And so we really wanted to create something that we thought we were lacking in our lives. And instead of having to mix them all, and on that journey that I had staying at my friend's house, I had probably 4 or 5 different essential oils to blend the things that I might need along that trip. And so we thought, what if we started with things that were pre-blended? So they were really, and we call these ethos. And for us, we started with energy, focus, relax, and sleep, because we felt that's what was missing in our lives. And if we had this like really beautiful kind of circle of life that you could do on a daily basis, and we call that our daily ritual collection, we just set you up for success. And so again, we did it for ourselves, but we thought, my goodness, if you walked up to anybody universally and asked them, do you need more energy? Do you need to focus? Do you need to relax? Do you sleep? And to do this in a holistic way without any synthetics, to do it in a natural way and really tap into plant medicine, which has been around since 4500 BC, ancient Egypt and all these other cultures. So again, we didn't create this. We just wanted to look back at history and see what could we pull from them and learn from, and then actually it's almost like we've gone so far. We had all this beautiful natural, whether it was food or the things that we put in our body, and then science came along. While that's really beautiful, it's almost like sometimes we forget about some of the most natural, basic things that we can do to heal ourselves, even starting with our own breath. We can walk around all day like holding your breath, and you're like, oh my gosh, people have apps now to remind themselves to breathe. And so that was really the impetus of why we started, is we need it in our own lives. And so that's what we set about to do. We want it to be really beautiful and really modern and clean, so that it could rest above the counter instead of below the counter. Because, akin to vitamins, if you have this ugly bottle of vitamins and then you stow it away, then you're like, oh, I forgot to take my vitamins. So we wanted something that could set out at your nightstand, at your office, on your kitchen counter. Really, it could go into any environment and elevate not only the mood, like you said, because of the aromatherapy that would actually change the essence of the room, but aesthetically, we want it to be really beautiful. It could slot into a modern home, a traditional home, a boardroom, a kid's room. So those are some of the things that we wanted to check off. And the other thing that we thought was really important is that we wanted it to smell intoxicating, smell so beautiful, almost be perfume worthy. Because I think a lot of people had a stigma attached to essential oils, kind of like that hippy dippy, patchouli oil. And even myself, because if you don't get good patchouli, it can be very overpowering. And it just takes a little. And I think it's like when people put on cologne and it's like, and you hug someone and now you walk away smelling that person, like them for the rest of the day. So it really was a balance of, that's why I went and studied how to make perfume, so that we could get all these beautiful ingredients and make them super powerful, really digestible, so that we would do all the heavy lifting for you. We did all the research. We created all of our formulas. We took over a year just sourcing all of our own ingredients. And it was really naive on our part when we first started. We thought one of the ingredients I really wanted to use, which isn't used rarely because it is rare and it's very expensive, is neroli. And neroli is it's the finest part of the orange blossom. And it takes like 1,000 pounds of orange blossoms to create 1 kilo, which would be, almost like a quart of milk of people, here in America. So, and that would run maybe $8,000. And that was the other piece that we thought was really missing, is we wanted to offer a slice of luxury. So, for this, minimal amount, you could have an opportunity to have bergamot, neroli, sandalwood, some of these really exotic and beautiful essential oils that really you don't see at a Whole Foods store or at an MLM kind of environment, which have incredibly beautiful medicinal purposes. So that was something else that we thought would be really special to offer people. And instead of having to buy a really expensive bottle, have 5 or 6 bottles and, walk away with like $100 of stuff, and you're like, what do I do now? We wanted to do all that heavy lifting, really create the science behind it. And so that was the start of how we created CAMPO. And CAMPO actually means field or countryside in Italian and Spanish, because we source the globe for the most beautiful fields and countrysides where we source our oils, and then we bring them here to the States where we blend them. So that's how we got started.
Absolutely beautiful journey. It's so cool how to hear it even from just like your entrepreneur's perspective of meeting your friend and now having this amazing product, which I can attest because I have these in front of me. Like, the packaging is very beautiful and intentional, and the scents are really good. I mean, and I've never had experience neroli before, like first time for me. And I have a bunch of different essential oils. And I want to ask you, before we get into some different blends and uses of essential oils, like the most fundamental question about this is like, what is an essential oil and how is it made? When someone sees like tea tree essential oil, eucalyptus, or let alone one of your higher end blends, like what is an essential oil? Break down the process of how it's made and what does it mean to be an essential oil versus just like a plant?
Great. So an essential oil, everybody hears the word and everyone thinks they know what it is, but when you ask them what is essential oil, they kind of go, I don't know. And it really is. It's the essence of the plants. So it can be extracted in a couple ways. So whether it could be the whole part of the plant, it could be the flower, the twigs, the leaves, the rind of an orange. So if you're talking about leaves, twigs, and blossoms, most likely that's going to be a steam distillation. So they put those items in with water, it'll steam, and then they'll separate the oil from the water, and then you're left with the oil. And that's the essence of the plant. So that's the essential oil. And then the other method of extracting oil is cold press. And that would be more when you're having citrus, the rind, so like grapefruit, orange, lime, lemon, things of that nature. So those are, and then there's macerator where they'll actually kind of mash things up. But it's truly just the essence of the plants, the oils from the plants and how they're extracted. So that's the essential oil.
And it takes, and I think people need to appreciate how much it takes to get like an essential oil. You alluded to it, or you said it pretty directly with the neroli, but like explain it, because I think the scale of it shows how potent these can be when you understand how much it takes to make like a 4-ounce bottle. So, or let alone 1-ounce bottle. So please tell me like the scale of this.
So I think, kind of going back to that last example of a blossom, if you see an orange blossom and it's just a tiny little, I mean, smaller than, your thumbnail, basically, it takes 1,000 pounds of that to make 1 kilo. It's like, it's
hard to fathom 1,000 pounds of that.
1,000
right?
pounds. Mm-hmm.
It's like millions of orange blossoms,
Range Rovers
hundreds of millions.
Pounds. So, it's like, it's a lot. It's a lot. And that's why they're so special. And, again, when we started sourcing our ingredients, I was really naive in the sense I thought, oh, we'll find a neroli grower and, then they'll send us the neroli and it'll be great. We must have sourced, 20 different growers before we found the one that we thought was just perfect. And that we went through that same iteration with all of our different oils. And we have, probably 50 to 60 different oils that we use throughout all of our different ingredients. And that's the other thing that we have that is a really great a resource on our website, is we have an ingredient field, and it's from A to Z, every single essential oil that we use. And we did it very kind of like a Vogue layout. So it's not just like copy heavy, run. I think people kind of almost fall asleep sometimes when they're starting to first educate themselves. Mm-hmm. And so it's got like beautiful photos. It'll give you a little bit of the history. It'll give you some quotes, and it's just very digestible. And then if you want to keep digging deeper, you keep on scrolling down the page. But I think that's really a great place to start for people, especially if it's any other brand out there. You can just come onto our website and you can check out what these ingredients are, what their benefits are, what their origins are. And for us specifically, I'll say where our oils originated from.
Nice. All right. So I want to ask you, outside of just your blends and formulations, like for someone who's new into this, who maybe has used essential oils once or twice in the past, and maybe even has some lying around the house that they may want to start playing around with after this conversation and getting inspired, let alone trying a more, powerful blend like yours, what are some key uses and simple ways that people can start using essential oils in terms of like a routine, and also some common non-blended essential oils that you think are good, like starters for people to start to get some of the benefits? Like, what are the common person's use of essential oils? So
I always say lavender is kind of the gateway essential oil. I think pretty much everybody can conjure up what lavender smells like. They've seen it in a yard, or, had something, a candle or what have you. So I think lavender is a wonderful universal fragrance or scent. Oh, that's another thing I wanted to mention. In general, when you hear the word scent versus fragrance, scent should lean towards being natural, and fragrance should be an indicator for synthetic.
Okay.
General rule of thumb. When you're applying essential oils, this is like one of the number one things I like to educate people on, is an essential is 100% pure oil. So with that, it's very concentrated, right? So what you're going to want to do if you're applying it to your skin is you want to dilute it. And that could be and that's called a carrier oil. The carrier oil can be just about anything. It could be lotion, it could be olive oil, coconut oil, sunflower, jojoba, anything that's going to take that and dilute the pure essential oil so it's not 100% at that ratio. That's another thing that we wanted to do with CAMPO, is kind of take that guesswork out. So when we create a product, or I call them our ethos. So let's take, for example, energy. That'll come in the 100% pure blend. And that is kind of easy to put together with the diffuser. I take the 100% and I put in my diffuser with some water, and then that's a very passive way to experience essential oils. Then the second way we do for a delivery system is we have a roll-on, and we have that pre-diluted in a beautiful blend of jojoba, sunflower, camellia seed, all these really beautiful carrier oils. And the other thing that we wanted to have, if we thought, my goodness, if we're going to have it a carrier oil, let's give it some extra beauty benefits. So if you're doing it now, it's hydrating, nourishing. And one of the reasons we use jojoba, and when you look at ingredients, the top ingredient is going to be what's most in that product. Yeah. So when you look at our ingredients, especially when we start introducing the carrier oils, you'll see one of the first ingredients is jojoba, which we're really proud of because it's one of the most top shelf carrier oils, and it's the closest to your body's natural sebum. So it absorbs more quickly, it gets into your bloodstream, and it leaves a really nice finish. It's not greasy. So that's talking about carrier oils. And then I think you asked me one other thing, kind of circling into that whole thing. Yeah, well, it was just like common essential oils and uses and like ways to use them, but you've covered some good stuff. Yeah. So some great kind of what I have is we call one thing as a daily ritual. So even if you don't have a roll on, you can use your finger and take your favorite essential oil that you may have. So maybe you have sweet orange or a eucalyptus or peppermint or lavender. Those are some of the basics that I think people are familiar with. Peppermint's great for nausea or to kind of for as a stimulant. Sweet orange is great for appetite and also kind of awaken and energetic. That would be kind of the essence of orange. So you could take whatever essential oil you have, your favorite essential oil, take a little carrier oil, put that little drop of carrier oil in your hand, and then take a drop or two of your favorite essential oil, and then use your finger. And I like to create the infinity sign in the palm of my hand. Mm-hmm. And I do that 8 times. And then I rub my hands together 8 times. And then I take 8 big, deep breaths. And even as you're rubbing your hands together, you can start to feel the chi energy of your hands come alive with that essential oils. And then just take 8 deep breaths in and out and set your intention. And then, you're off you go. So I like to do that, when I wake up, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and as needed throughout the day. But it's such an easy practice to start. It takes like 30 seconds. And it's just a really beautiful practice to tap into your soul, into your breath, which is like the biggest gift that you have, right? It's the breath of life, right? Mm-hmm. So to me, that's a really great ritual, and you can do that anywhere. You can do it on in a car, in an airplane, before you walk in the door to greet your family at the end of the day when you just kind of need to get yourself back on, put together. Yeah. And then just some really easy ways around the house is I love using it in the shower. I keep a pure bottle in my shower. I'll usually keep, we have one blend called Breathe, but eucalyptus would be great in there. Our Breathe blend has peppermint, camphor, eucalyptus, and a few other cool things. And so I like to keep that in the shower. I have energy and relax as well. So in the morning, I'll put in energy or perhaps the Breathe one to help me open up my chest and just really get everything.
Are you putting that on your body in the shower or in your hands?
I just put that in the shower. Like I'll turn the shower on. I'll just put like maybe 5 drops.
A couple drops like on the floor or on the wall somewhere?
And it's on the floor. And it just starts to create this beautiful kind of spot.
That's really cool.
And I do that every day. I love it. It smells beautiful. It just starts to wake you up. And then again, conversely, at the end of the day, if you need to wind down, you can do a lavender, or our relax blend is beautiful, or the sleep blend. And you can do the same thing in a bath. So those are great ways to and so let me kind of circle into that now that we're talking about getting into a bath or the shower. 2 basic ways that the essential oils get into your bloodstream is either topically. So they're absorbed into your skin and then they get into your bloodstream, and then your organs and your body starts to feel the effects, almost immediately with the essential oils. Or number 2 is through your olfactory. So you'll breathe in through your nose, it'll hit your olfactory, and that's what connects, to your deepest parts of your emotion and memory in your brain. So the other beautiful thing is essential oils and plant medicine not only can help heal you from within in terms of its medicinal purposes, scent can connect you to memory and emotion. So you can say, like, for example, like me growing up in Orange County, the smell of orange blossom as a child really is reminiscent of summertime and just like all these great memories and my grandparents and things of that nature. And so when I smell orange blossom, I immediately conjure up these certain feelings, and it really connects me to the ocean as well. And same thing with other people, like maybe the scent of rose is something like, oh my gosh, it reminds me of my wedding day, or, different experiences. And so the ability of essentials to not only heal you from the medicinal piece, it also has the ability to transport you to a different place or transform your mind-body connection. So that's really a beautiful thing that, similar to, any kind of scent story, that it can really help you connect and transport you. You might be in some small apartment and it's raining outside, and you instantly, put on one of our essentials. We have an ocean blend that's meant to transport you to the ocean. And immediately when you think about the ocean, you can think about the waves crashing, the sound that it makes, the way that it feels, the salt air. And so automatically it takes you to that place, and you can feel your body start to relax and get into that mode.
That's really beautiful. And to kind of recap what I'm hearing is essential oils can help us connect more deeply to memories or to ourselves in a ritual format. To the breath intentionally. I love that figure 8 practice and really breathing that in. They can help us in those transitional states. Like if we're trying to go from work to family, or going from activity to sleep, or from sleep to activity. And they can enhance the things we already do, like showers and rituals and baths like this. So super powerful. And all it just requires is having a good quality blend and having those available around the actual locations. And to your point, like just like people who want to be consistent with fitness, they oftentimes like leave their shoes or their clothes out or pre-shop for groceries. You're leaving these around the areas where you're using them, on the countertops, near the diffuser, in your bathroom. So it's so cool how this can be incorporated into your life. And I want to ask you, what really separates like a super quality essential oil from one that maybe someone might pick up just like at a basic grocery store? Like, what are the big differences in quality and like and price, and how that aspect of the essential oil market plays?
That's a good question. I would liken that to a bottle of wine. So you could buy box wine, you could buy a box white or red wine, but you could also get something that might cost you $5. And then on the other side of the scale, there are cult wines that could be, $20,000 a bottle. So they all are, could say they're all grapes. They may even come from the same region, but even that might be where it starts to, be different. Like, what region is it from? How's it processed? How long, has it been maturing? There's like all those different components go into it. And for the off the street, and when you're looking at a bottle of it, that really is something that would be, for the layman, I don't think there's even a way to discern other than price, which I think is why you'll see some essential oils are, much more cost effective, and others, are on the higher end of the scale. We are definitely a top shelf brand. Everything we use from, every source that we have, we know we have direct contact with all of those sources. We know the certifications of them. Same thing with all the carrier oils that we have. They haven't been cut with anything. That's the other thing, is just start looking at the ingredients, because sometimes essential oils, they're not pure, 100% pure. They may already have a carrier oil in them. So when you have that bottle, that 10 or 15 ml bottle, it might not be 100% pure essential oil. It might already been cut with something. So that might bring down the cost of it. And for us, everything we do with CAMPO has intention and purpose, from the packaging to the ingredients. And in fact, one of the things that's really special and adds to the cost of our product is the violet glass we use on the pure bottle. When you first look at it, it looks like it's a black glass, but if you hold it up to the light, it's actually a violet glass that we get from the Netherlands. And the reason we chose that glass is because it helps to harness the natural energetic properties of the oils, while also helping to block out any harmful UV rays. So that also helps with the shelf life, so it can extend its time with you.
That's beautiful. And I was going to ask you about like preserving essential oils and what damages them. So it sounds like too much light like can disrupt the precious aromatic compounds in the essential oils. Are there any other storage considerations, and like how do you store your essential oils?
So the other thing, the essential oils will stay pretty darn, like I'll usually run out of mine before. I mean, I don't think I've ever had one spoiled, to be quite honest. I mean, they can last you, to be on the safe side, I think we put like 1.5 or 2 years on our bottles. But I mean, I have some, that I've had for, several years, longer than that. But it's always nice to store them in a like a dry, cool place, like room temperature. But again, they're pretty sturdy for the most part. The ones that start to turn a little bit quicker are I would say, something that's pre-blended with a carrier oil, because just like olive oil, if you don't use it, it'll go rancid over maybe a year's time. And it's not going to be bad for you. It won't hurt you in any way. It's just the smell might turn a little bit. But that would be the biggest thing. I think the indicator is the carrier oils. Those go within about a year. Nice.
And how about with use with kids and families? So if there's busy moms listening to this and like they want to incorporate it for themselves, but are there uses for kids, and are any kind of precautions based off of like age and stuff like this? So who shouldn't use essential oils or certain kinds? So maybe like the precautions, and then like uses that you can have with kids.
So I would say, well, first of all, let me also go back. I didn't mention basically the application points, the pulse points, just to give that as a kind of indicator leading into this question. So your pulse points are at your temples, behind your ears, at your occiput. And they're basically places where you have a lot of like blood flow and arteries. Yeah. So the crook of your arm, your wrist, I think you said your wrist, then behind your knees. And then a really great absorption point is the bottom of your feet. And that's one of my very favorite. And you can take, again, like put it, your carrier oil and some essential oil, and pat the bottom of your feet, and it's fantastic. And that's what, like, this roll-on that we have is such a great multitasker. I'll put a bunch in the palm of my hand and then just tap the bottoms of my feet. Like, after, if I've been in heels all day and then I have to go out again, I'll like take them off, kind of pat my feet, kind of make them happy feet, and then get back in and head out to a, an event. So your feet are a really good absorption spot. And then getting back to children and families, I would say it's like anything else. I like to test things, because just like food, what may seem very benign and universal to most can be, it could be life-changing to another individual. So when you're starting your journey with essential oils, especially with children, I would test, like a little patch somewhere. But the most non-invasive way is a diffuser, because it's, and you can have any bedroom size. That's probably the best, safest way to start your journey with your child. And like, lavender is so easy and beautiful. So like our relaxed blend is wonderful. And that really is so great for kids, because it gets them into a ritual and helps them to self-soothe. And my business partner and I, Jill, we both really started that with our kids when they were little. So whether it was before they were going to a soccer game, I'd have a car full of kids. I'm like, okay, girls, you want your energy roll on? They're like, yeah. And, they put it on and they turn on the music. And so that's creating a memory for them, right? And then conversely, at the end of the day, they get to take charge and, turn on the diffuser. And our diffuser has 2 nightlight settings, which is really nice. And, a diffuser is so great around pets and children, because it's, it's safe. It has an auto shut off. There's no flame. And again, I would just always spot test with anything, the little carrier oil, and try it one little area, probably closer to the hand, something like that, away from the heart. And then, see if there's any skin reaction, what have you. And then if not, then you're good to go. But I would always err on the side of less is more for children. And we have some dilution charts on our website as well that can be helpful.
That was a great answer, and super cool to just hear how your kids have benefited and experienced and kind of grown up with this as a part of their lives. And I think it's fun to be able to give them these different natural tools that are healthy sensory, that can just enhance or transition their experiences. Like the soccer roll-on in the car is great. Now, I want to talk about fragrance for a second, because insofar as you're a champion for essential oils, I imagine in some sense you're taking a stand against a lot of the artificial and, quite frankly, like damaging things. And I also don't think people realize how bad Glade plugins are, or artificial sniff things that you have in the car, or just the artificial stuff. Can you speak into that at all? Like whether it's like into the toxicity or what you see and believe around those scents?
So you bring up such a good point. I don't think people realize how much synthetics can be endocrine disruptors. And one example would be, for me, I have hypothyroid. So that would be something that, had I known earlier in life, like there's so many choices we make throughout the day, right? What body soap we put on in the morning, our hair shampoo, how we brush our teeth, and every choice we make throughout the day, the more we can eliminate synthetics that are endocrine disruptors, you're just going to have a healthier, happier life. So your laundry detergent, and one really great swap would be, instead of using a fragrant, detergent, is to use an unscented natural detergent. You can put a few drops, and you can use any essential, whatever you like. It could be sweet orange, lavender, eucalyptus, any of our blends, whatever you're feeling of the moment. Add that into your wash, and then everything smells so beautiful. And then if you ever need to refresh something, or you could also do it in the dryer with dryer balls, put a few drops on the dryer balls. Yeah. Use those, the synthetic sheets with all the perfumes on it. It's just really unhealthy for you. And then, your linens that you're sleeping on, that's 8 hours a night. You're sleeping on all these synthetics. So if you can really turn away from that and then turn to a natural option, it's almost like, genetically modified versus not. Like, if you had the choice, why wouldn't you go with the pure, from nature? So I think as people start to educate themselves and realize that it's actually, when they choose synthetics or a fragrance, they're not choosing wisely for themselves. And maybe you can't do it all at once. Maybe it has to be kind of like a slower elimination. Like, people will cling to some of the things they love. But I mean, you can add essential oils and vinegar. You can make great cleaning products. I mean, it's really sky's the limit. And that's the thing we're working on right now, is to really have a lot of great DIYs to show you all the ways you can swap synthetics for natural. And it's cost effective too, when you start using them for all these different ways. Yeah,
a couple drops goes a long way.
It really does.
Yeah. I want to ask you about immune boosting properties. I think when I was maybe 20 years ago, my first foray into essential oils, believe it or not, was kind of intense. It was oil of oregano, which is like a very potent oil that has some properties for like the throat or the immune system. And I used to put that stuff in my mouth and it was like, whoa, it gave me a lot of respect for the power of the different kinds of essential oils. Are there any uses that you have or use or recommend for people who want to boost their immune system, or maybe have a time where they're feeling like they're getting a little run down and they want a little bit of a immune system boost? What are some essential oils and uses that you recommend?
So we literally have a blend called Immune, and we've thought of the whole thing for you. And so that was a big part of why we wanted all of our blends to be pre-blended. So it takes all the guesswork out of there for you. So if you go onto our website, and it's actually listed by like what you may need, like sleep, energy, or if you're not feeling well, there's a whole kind of like list of things, and you'll like zone in right on what you need.
Yeah.
And then when you go to the page, it'll tell you every ingredient in it and what the benefits are and how it's going to help you. And so it's actually funny, when we were first creating Immune, my assistant, we spent a lot of time, like probably, I don't know, it was during the winter, and I would make all these blends, and then she would go and make me some sample batches. I'd send it out. She goes, Jess, I never got sick all winter long. She goes, I swear it's because I was just working with the Immune blend all winter long. But I think another really great thing that people lose sight of in terms of boosting your immune system, it starts with your sleep. Because when you sleep, and you sleep properly, that has the time for your body to, your cells, your organs, everything to rejuvenate and heal and restore. And so if you can get it, and it's like, again, it's this whole cycle. If you can fill your day with the proper energy and laser in and focus naturally, and then, a ritual to help you relax and sleep, just not only get to sleep, but get into a deep sleep where you stay asleep. So you can really get into that REM. And that's when, they talk about beauty sleep, but it's a real thing. So not only are your internal organs healing, but that's when you have skin renewal, you have the cells, the cellular renewal. It helps with irritability. So I think, in terms of immune, like building your immune system, I think people should really think about their sleep patterns and, turning off Wi-Fi and, having rituals, not only like using essentials, but trying to get to bed at the same time every night. And I actually spent a lot of time, this is really fun, and your audience will probably really appreciate this. We are in a partnership with Hoag Hospital, which is one of the most renowned hospitals in all of California. Now it's going all across, like they're getting people like from Mayo Clinic, they're coming to want to be doctors at our community hospital.
Cool.
And we've had such a great relationship with them, and they really want to reimagine what medicine can be. And so we've had, I think, 4 different opportunities to work with them in a really big way. The first one was they had a new walk-in like clinic where it had just about everything. It had pediatrics, it had rehab, all these different things, but in a community kind of environment instead of in a hospital environment. So it'd be like maybe next door is a Starbucks, and then they had this like 40,000 square foot facility, and they let us create an aromatherapy bar there. And, we have all of our essential oils. People can come and experience it. There's a computer there where they can access the website if they have more questions. So that was our first foray with them. And then from there, we had such a good response. They created a birthing suite. It was 12 suites.
Nice.
They were all about 1,000 square foot, each birthing suite. You didn't see one piece of medical equipment. It looked like a Four Seasons when you checked in. They had diffusers going, and every pregnant woman that came in, she got a CAMPO collection, which had our baby mama belly oil. It had a relaxed roll-on to help them start to, start their journey. And so from there, they asked us to create a whole birth plan if people wanted to incorporate essential oils into their birth plan. And so we created the relax, breathe, receive ritual, which the nurses could offer to the ladies. And so relax is like the first thing when you enter the hospital. It's a little bit nerve-wracking, so they kind of gets them in a calm state of mind. And then the breathe gets them into their breathing rhythm. And then receive, that's when they're really to like, let's go get the blood flow going. Let's get this baby, into the world. So that's been a really blessed and amazing piece of business to be a part of, and, bringing new life into this world. And then they opened a flywheel at John Wayne Airport. And again, they said, would you please open a aromatherapy bar for free? And so people come in, they get to experience, they get samples from CAMPO. They get to come in, and we actually have a flight roll-on to help people with jet lag and jitters.
Nice.
So it's just to be able to touch all these people in so many different ways has been so beautiful. And then the last thing that we're working on is for internal medicine. This really amazing doctor, Dr. Raskins, she wants to use essential oils for pre and post-op with her patients. So we're testing with lavender oil pre-operation, like 20 minutes before we go into surgery to help them relax and calm their nerves.
Yeah.
Post-operative, we're using sweet orange for appetite, as well as peppermint for nausea. So, and then frankincense for pain relief.
Yeah.
So those are the 4 that we've been using in this study that we're doing. So shortly, we're going to have some really great clinical study that we can share and be backed by science, not just things that we've researched and want to share with people. So that's been really special. And so the whole, like, the mama belly oil is actually really awesome. And it goes back to my best friend and business partner, because when we created that one, it went back to her recipe, because she had twins and she like literally created this formula and was bathing her, nice, beautiful belly. And she was on bed rest for like 8 months. So it works. She came out with a beautiful, belly with no stretch marks, and, it helped with itchy belly and, just calming her nerves. And, while she was sitting there, waiting for her, 2 babies to come into this world.
Wow. I mean, powerful stories and powerful things that you're working on with these great partnerships. And it kind of transitions me into my final question for you. But also I want to inform people as they've been going through this, if they want to go to your website, is campobeauty.com. So CAMPO beauty.com, and where you can find all the different blends. And I love that you've kind of taken the guesswork out of it, because a lot of essential oils have like overlapping functions. Some are antimicrobial, some are anti-inflammatory, some are good digestive tonics, but you've already figured all that out. So no guesswork needed. And you can also get ones that smell really amazing. So my final question for you is a little more holistic than just essential oils, but like, what do you see as the potential great future that we could have in terms of like healthcare, let's just say in the West, only because you and I have been brought up in this type of culture. So let's forecast 50 years down the road, 100 years down the road, if we're able to like make improvements, meaning people start to eat better, people start to use more natural therapies, integrative, and prioritize sleep, like what does society look like in the beautiful vision that you can hold in your mind and in your heart?
Well, I think one of the things we talk about is, and I've been talking about this with Dr. Raskins, is we call it the invisible environment, right? It's the things you can't see. So EMF, so there's so many different toxins that we don't see, the synthetic fragrances, like, for example, and then foods, the things that you can't see that they're spraying on our food. So when people start to read labels, educate themselves, and get back to nature as much as possible, and with that, I mean, even just grounding yourself, go for a walk, see the ocean, look at the horizon, whatever you're close to, there's some way you can connect with nature. So connecting, I think, back to just the basics. And I know that sounds so simplified, but I really think it is. And if everybody could start just eliminating a few of the bad things and adding a few of the good things that are free and from nature, like looking at the sun for, like, close your eyes for 5 minutes. Like, that is so rejuvenating and so good for your everything. I mean, it's literally, it resets your circadian rhythm, all kinds of things. I had vertigo. It helps with that. I mean, it's endless when you tap into nature. And what I would see is that the further we get away from synthetics, I think we'll see, I would think that we would see a real decrease in cancer. That's one thing that I'm not a doctor, but it seems to me all the things that cause cancer are carcinogenics, synthetics. And if we can move away from those things, or at least reduce it by half, I mean, if whatever we're doing now, if you can just take a quarter of that away, take a half of that away, increase your water intake and make sure it's good water. I think I'm hopeful for that. I mean, just with the way my husband and he educates me so much. I mean, he's such a wealth of knowledge, and, he introduced me to you and, the certified health nut. I mean, the people that come into my life or in my kitchen, on a daily basis, I'm like, oh my gosh, who are you? Wow. They're so impressive, and I'm constantly learning and educating. So I think, just tuning into podcasts like yourself, like, these are just beautiful ways for people to enlighten themselves and to really take their health and their lifestyle back in control. And I mean, for us, truly, it's really about having a more joyful life. And so when you start with things that bring you joy, that light you up, whether, I love to garden, and I love to run, and I love to be with my child. And you know, the things that I want to soak that up as much as possible right now, because I know in 2 years she'll be off the door and I'll be like, ah. So I think, you know, really lighting people, doing things that light you up, you know, that make you happy and smile. And then just leaning away from the synthetics and leaning into nature. I'm very positive about the future.
Beautiful. And I'll tell you this, everything you described, in my opinion, fits directly into the work you're doing in the world. Essential oils are natural, beautiful, connecting, you know, and helping you maintain this connection and circadian rhythm. And yeah, just adding joy. So I got a ton out of this conversation, particularly for me in the different ways to incorporate these essential oils. I can tell you this, I'm going to be doing the figure 8 on my hands. I'm going to start putting some EO on the bottom of my feet. I'm going to keep some bottles in the shower. And I appreciate your encouragement, this education. And if someone is really interested in like stepping up their essential oil game, maybe they've had some in the past, but want to get like a really high quality blend, or just want to like learn more about your work, CAMPO, your mission and all that, where can people come visit you and learn more?
Yeah, just our website, campobeauty.com. We also have social media at, it's at CAMPO Beauty. So whether Instagram or Facebook, and we share a lot of stuff there, fun things, lots of visual, beautiful things, DIYs and things of that nature.
Well, Jessica, thank you so much for your wisdom, your encouragement, your light, your positivity today. I really enjoyed this conversation and I'm excited for our whole community to experience this.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciated my time with you as well.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.